This is Shatnar from Drungi, and you're listening to the Dan Chan Show.
Up in Iceland, I have Sandy, Magnus, Shafnar, Runa, and Loki. How you doing, guys?
Wonderful. Couldn't be better. Always
Awesome.
good.
And are you all in Reykjavik? Because Sandy, you're on a separate link here. So are you all in Reykjavik?
Yes, I am in the outskirts of Reykjavik.
I love that part of the world. It's beautiful, beautiful place. Now, your name, Drungi, what's the meaning, and did I say it right?
You did say it right, yes. And it means eerie. Sort of that feeling you get when you're in a dark alley in fog and middle of the night.
So how would you use that in a sentence?
Það mjög drungalegt hérna inni.
In English.
Everything is very eerie.
Oh, very. I see. I got you. I understand. Okay, guys. Well, let's get into it. You know, you've just released your brand new debut album, and again, I'm going to need some help with your with the pronunciation. Hamfarir Hugans.
Pretty much.
You say it for me. Say it properly for me.
Hamfarir Hugans.
Perfect. Okay, that was back on April the 5th. Now, how long has it taken to get this album ready? You know, did it take a long time? Bearing in mind you've got together, I think in 2019, you've only released singles up to this point. How long has the album been ready to release, and what's happened behind that?
The album started in October of 2021.
Right. Okay.
That's when we first started recording singles, and we just kept hitting one snag after another.
Right. Okay.
Losing band members throughout the process, and we had to replace our drummer after our first studio session. So glorious demos there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, we only really finished it on April 5th because we only got our CDs ready on April 5th.
Wow.
And our CDs are very limited edition, and they're all hand assembled by band members.
Wow. So the album was, you've released the album on April the 5th, and before that, so how long has it taken you to record the album in full between you all? And how do you like to write and record? How is that process for you?
Well, the recording session, it was like in bits by bits. Not everything was, of course, like recording in the same area. For example, the vocals were specifically recorded in another studio, and the drums were also recorded in another area, and all the string instruments were also in Studio Emissary, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yes. So it's sort of like puzzling all the big factors together into the recording process, bit by bit.
And how, if you're doing that over a length of time, how hard is it to try and keep the same kind of, not momentum, but the same kind of sound, you know, going through it? Because if you leave it a long time between recording sessions, you can have to do different plugins. You got to get back to that certain sound. Is it difficult to do that?
Well, we knew what we wanted.
That's it. Good. Okay.
Took us a while to get there. We had to do it right. We didn't want to sit up with an album that we put on like, oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
It's how we heard it in our heads.
Yeah.
It sounds like we don't want to get that energy forward and
Always
get it down on vinyl.
Yeah, absolutely. Always the belief in the music, and you truly put yourself into this work, and also mixing a little bit of like pure hardcore Icelandic stubbornness.
Yeah. How do you, when you're recording it on your own, more of in a DIY kind of sense, when do you know it's completed? Because from my past as a musician, when I've recorded through sessions and it's finished and you know that's it, you're finite. Whereas if you've got the time and you've got lots of time to breathe, is there a point where you take it too far and you've got to think, right, we're done with that now, we need to move on, or before you keep over tweaking it?
In our case, it wasn't so much about that. We didn't hit that snag so much. We had already written the songs. We knew exactly how they were supposed to sound, and we didn't want anything on the album that we couldn't produce in a live setting.
Right. I see. I got you.
We're not a big we're not big fans on backing tracks
No,
and
I agree.
live click tracks.
Yeah.
So
And those drummers hate click tracks, Sandy. Good God.
Yeah, I can't stand them.
Oh, I hate them.
I try to avoid using it unless it's just a tempo I'm absolutely not
Yeah.
used to playing naturally.
Yeah, exactly. I stand by that. Now, I did read that you are very much consumed by your environment. You know, I've been to Iceland and I can totally understand that. Along with the 4 seasons in one day, how much of that inspires you as musicians and the band's themes?
Well, it's of course like inspired by, of course, like as an everyday. The tough environment in Iceland is just like interchanging, like the old saying, if you don't like the Icelandic weather, just wait 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, of course, like in the most part, affects your mood very, very difficultly. But I would say that it all just like blends in together with like combination of the nature, the environment, the mood and the feel, and what Iceland has to offer. Because, for example, that Iceland is like it is a very young country,
Mm,
always also based on its habitats and also its geographical point of view. If you go into the Earth crust and so much science.
sure.
But not this level is, of course, that the darkness that elements the Icelandic nature and its habitats completely like melts into this boiling point of 8 stable songs and more to come.
Yeah,
Like our first label album, we want to provide into this. This is the creation that we bring forth into this album, and this is what we have to represent from our artistic point of view.
sure, sure. So when it comes to the listener, do you think about the listener when you record and you write your music? Do you think what are they going to think about this track or that track? And how would you ideally like your listener to listen to your music? Walking through the wilderness, sat with a glass of wine, with a candle, fireplace. How do you envisage that, if you ever have?
all of the above, really.
Yeah.
We didn't actually consider much of the listener when we were writing the songs. It's a part of our unique sound.
Yeah, of course.
We wanted to do something where every single member of the band could bring something into the songs, and so we did that, and we all have very different musical backgrounds.
Mhm.
And with that, it sort of intertwines into this rock, metal, doom, folk sound,
Mhm.
which can be enjoyed in almost every setting possible.
Sure. Absolutely.
Buying anybody, I think at least one of my aims for it was that anybody with any background in whatever genre can listen to this and find something in it that they enjoy.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And there's a lot of melody going through it as well, which surprised me when I got into your album. There's a lot of melody there,
Yep.
you know, which is nice to hear. Now, obviously, you just touched upon it with genre. Where do you see yourself genre-wise? Because you're very genre fluid, as you say, but where do you see yourself?
I think we finally settled on heavy metal.
Wow, good one. That's a staple. I like it. We'll take that. Okay.
We received many arguments of like, where do we put ourselves? There's like, we also like say, what genre do we put ourselves in, and what do our fans and viewers and listeners put ourselves in the kind of category? But I think also, if I quote Chuck Schuldiner of Death, he would just say, do not put things in categories.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And I don't like to do genres, but you are very genre fluid. So it's important to be able to see where you see yourselves, never mind where we see as a listener see yourselves. But let's go into that. You talk about your collective influences. Where are you, Sandy? Where's your music taste come from? And the rest of you guys, what do you bring to this melting pot that is Drungi?
Well, first and foremost, my story of coming into Drungi is because they needed a replacement, and the bass guitar player Magnus, he remembered me. So in the beginning, like of my teenage years, I was listening to a lot of Black Sabbath. I was listening to kind of like the music that my father and my dad's father the brother of my father were listening to Iron Maiden and all these type of bands. But I fell out of rock and metal scene at most, and I just was listening to pop music. So for me to come into Drungi, this type of like raw sound, heavy metal, it's kind of helped me to develop again into rock music. So I'm still kind of finding myself and finding my influences.
Okay.
But I'd like to say that influence-wise, me as a drummer per se, I look a lot at bands like Drowning Pool, System of a Down. System of a Down is just up top in my teenage years. So I think me as a drummer, I'm more in the modern, let's say, rock.
Yeah, okay.
Than the olden stuff, yeah.
I get it. Now, Runa, you're there wearing a Rammstein t-shirt. That says a lot. What about the rest of you guys? And Runa, tell me more, Runa. What else have you got?
Well, I'm more old school.
Old school, yeah.
For music in the band, but that's because my grandpa gave me his music tastes growing up. So
good man, good man.
70s hard rock, and
yeah,
I do go quite heavy too, like Megadeth. That's one of my biggest guitar influences.
Yeah.
Much of my heaviness.
Okay.
Just everything doom, everything thrash.
Yeah.
Just give it to me heavy.
The obvious stuff. Now, what about anything that's a little bit left of center, shall we say, that's not necessarily rock and metal that comes to your influences? What have you got to throw in the pot?
I listen to a lot of classical music.
Yeah. Classical and heavy metal, it's the same. It's the same thing, just with heavier guitars.
But I'm also I have a very wide taste in music. Everything from classical to
Heavy metal,
hardcore, electronic.
Yeah.
So usually, if I'm in a hurry, I'll throw on some heavy techno and
nice
get going. But that also influences a lot of my playing and my ideas for my sound.
Very cool. Very cool.
So mostly I'm the power metal guy in the band.
Yeah. Like it. Anyone else want to add anything else to that?
Well, I'm gonna add a tiny bit of like flavor into it by adding into it that if I go into the musical and lyrical background of what influenced me, I would say that I will go even further to go back into these like sing songs and hymns and verses that we used to learn when we were like young children, going back further in kindergarten.
Wow.
There are some like parts in some of the songs that go into these kind of like in the darkness of your childhood. I mean, of course, like there are many lullabies, of course, that are very creepy and sometimes very disturbing. That can also be like the influence of the lyrical and the setup on some of these songs we have here.
Got it.
Like these Viking chants that have been like famous all around, so we can like bring those around.
Nice.
Good
spin. Loki, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I'm also kind of like Magnus. I'm very versatile, and like it's not long ago that I got into rock because I'm so young. Like I started with AC/DC, then Skalmel, then Rammstein, then Gotcha. Was progressing up the ladder, and now like for like the last years, I love hearing like weird songs and snippets, both in metal and just in techno, jazz, whatever, and like thinking, okay, what if I try to replicate that in some song or try to practice rhythm and work with it? I think
really cool. Now, I've spoken to bands before from Iceland, like I mentioned earlier, and you're relatively new now. What's the scene like these days up in Iceland and Reykjavik especially? And do you still have members playing in multiple bands because the musician pool isn't so big? What's the situation?
Musicians still play.
You got like 5 bands each.
That is still a thing. That is still a thing.
And not so much with us though. Not 5 bands, but
you are in 2 bands.
Yeah, I'm in 2.
Yeah. Okay.
You were in 2.
Yeah, 2, maybe 3. 2
Doesn't know yet. 4 maybe.
We all got projects like musical.
Yeah, of course.
Do everything.
Yeah,
But I would say that we always put like Drungi in first place.
Yeah.
It was like the first band that we were.
Drungi number
Yeah.
one.
That's cool. Sandy, what have you, are you fluid with your music, with your bands, or are you solid Drungi? What's the situation?
So at the time being, I'm just playing with Drungi.
Drummers stick together, go.
Yeah, kind of like also just because I am very much a working woman and I have to maintain that, and that
Sure.
sadly doesn't give me as much time for music as it used to when I was younger.
Right.
But I'm always up for more singing projects because besides being a drummer, I am a singer. And
Well, your voice,
that is-
obviously, I only assumed that your voice is on the record, right?
yeah, it's a
Beautiful.
background
It's good.
vocals
Yeah,
on
this is good.
I think 2-3 songs. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it. Very good.
Thank you. And I write folk music on the side, something that I haven't published or anything because I need more people to work with me on that, but
Nice.
I need to have more time. So
Okay,
for
I
the time
understand.
being, I'm just writing it, completing it, and then one day I'll give somebody a call about
Sure.
helping me to finalize it.
Interesting. I like that. Now, talk about the track Mirka, because obviously there's an artist called Mirka. Now, for the English person who doesn't understand any Scandinavian languages, what does it mean? Who is she, and what's the track about? What's that whole thing?
Can we say it all together?
Darkness.
Darkness.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Is that what Mirka means? Darkness. Is that right?
Yeah.
So Mirka, the artist, hasn't got like a copyright on the word Mirka.
No.
I understand
Thankfully
that.
not.
There is a difference between naming, if we would have named the band Myrkur versus naming the song Myrkur. You
Right.
can't really have a copyright on song titles.
No, sure. No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, of course not.
Unless maybe you're Metallica and somebody stole it.
Enter Sandman TM.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay, that's cleared that up for me. I need to know that answer. Now, talking about the shows, you kind of touched on it very briefly, but what's the show situation with you guys? You know, have you played a show together yet? What's the future like with shows? Are you backing this album up with shows in Iceland? And dare I say anywhere further outside of Scandinavia or even off the island?
Difficult question.
Indeed, we are. Indeed, it's a work in progress.
Definitely open for abroad shows. That's what's been on the spectrum, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've been playing together since 2019, and we played our first show in August of 2019.
Yeah.
And we played several shows since then.
Mm-hmm.
But we have not played a show since album release.
Yeah.
We aren't really planning on doing much playing until August. Then we are planning a local tour in August, and then we are communicating with agents abroad regarding any sort of touring abroad, because touring requires a lot of planning and
Of course. And listen, it's difficult as it is anyway, but I'm obviously from an island myself, being from the UK. We know what it's like having to not only just fly, but we need boats or something else. Obviously puts you in a more difficult position being so not remote, obviously, but you are up there, you know, it does cause that issue. But as long as you're considering that, that's good to hear. Now, with that in mind, if you could tour with 3 bands, or I'm going to say 5 bands, you can have one each. Who ideally each of you would you want to tour with? Let's go with Loki. Let's start left to right. Loki first.
I'm also going to answer first.
Give Sandy more time.
Probably biggest dream would be Skullmelt, even though it's cliche. It's just a band that I was listening to the most at the time of making this album, and
Okay.
it was my biggest inspiration. So
That's totally allowed. Next, Runa.
I think Taylor Swift's doing okay these days.
She's doing great, mate. Yeah, she'll take you on. She'll take you on the road. No problem. 9 shows at Wembley. They need someone to support, so get involved. You might not be available that weekend, but you know, you try.
No, I think like Megadeth.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Ultimate. They're doing the rounds again. Schaffner, who we got?
I'm gonna say that I'm just gonna be very bold and say that we should actually, if we're gonna put ourselves into this like kind of a folky category, I'm gonna pick it. We're gonna tour with Tyr, we're gonna tour with Korpiklan, and we're gonna tour with Finntroll.
Yeah, sounds great. That'll be perfect. What a perfect lineup that would be. You just said 3 bands. I said 1, but it's fine. You're allowed that. That's good.
Because
The Runa said Taylor Swift, so that's fine. He had 2. Now, Magnus, who have you got?
Avatar.
Yeah.
I would like to tour with Avatar.
Yeah.
I think it would be a great band to support.
Defo. Good answer. Sandy, who have you got?
Well, since I am quite mild and I don't know that many bands, actively at least,
Sure.
I think a dream would be to actually play with Rammstein.
Yeah, of course. What a
I
dream
mean,
that'd be.
I think that besides, because, Ozzy, he's just losing his health, sadly.
Yeah,
Of course,
of course.
that would be the top of the iceberg to actually play for him, because he's my idol when it comes to rock music.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rammstein, it's the more realistic side of it.
I get that. That's totally agreeable. What's on the band's bucket list apart from the obviously who you'd like to play with? What's the realistic? Should we just keep it realistic? Let's not say like touring with whoever or whatever. What's the band's bucket list? What do you want to do? Just a simple tour? Maybe get a couple more albums out? What is it you want to do?
More albums.
More albums.
Yeah. Okay.
Play at Wacken.
Nice. Everyone always says that.
Well
Wacken
done.
is the best.
It'd be fun to like play the biggest halls, like the classics, Madison Square.
Like
Of course. Yeah. Go straight from Madison Square. What did you say, Sandy? Sorry.
I was just putting into it like something like Wembley or something.
Oh, yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
Yeah. Cool. Anyone else to add anything?
For me, I would really like to play with the Icelandic Symphony Orchestra.
Yes.
Nice. I can see
That-
a collaboration would be good.
That's something I've been dreaming of for many, many years.
Very cool.
And was one of the reasons for why we started Drungi.
Right. Amazing.
My want to play heavy metal with a symphony, with the Icelandic Symphony Orchestra.
Well, so with that in mind, are there any bands that you like that play like symphonic music, like Dimmu or Nightwish or anyone like that? That kind of like anything that stirs your pot in that way?
I mean, I've been listening to Nightwish since 9,
A long time.
very long time, 2000 probably.
Right.
But what ultimately did it for me was to see Skullmold play with the symphony orchestra in
Wow.
2015.
Cool. Okay. Are you guys ready for some personal band and fun questions? Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see if the Icelandic's a fun time. Here we go. Who is this? This is going to open some like wombs or something within the band here. I'm not going to cause problems, but who is the most likely to fall asleep and miss a sound check?
Runar.
Yep,
Yeah.
Runa is the most likely to do that.
Really?
It
Okay,
is
next up.
sleeps
Who's-
20 hours a day.
Who's the one who will leave the party last?
Leave the party last.
Runar.
So because he's had so much sleep, that's why.
Yes.
So he's the party guy. He sleeps all day. He's like me. I live in Spain now, so he's the siestas. He likes the siesta. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Which member will be moshing in the crowd at a festival?
This dude.
Yeah. Nice. Why?
Because of course, like I enjoy this.
Yeah, he's a ball of energy.
And then I
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
if I want to be on stage, then I also want to be in the crowd to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to come off stage and then go into the crowd to watch the next band is always a special moment. You have a beer, you're part of that. I love that. I don't play in a band anymore, but I used to love that moment. It used to be fantastic. The next question. Who's the most sensible member that holds it all together? I can only say Sandy, only because of her female influence, but who else could it be?
Magnus.
Magnus.
Yes.
Oh, sensible.
This band would fall apart if Magnus would not be there.
I like it.
It's as
Magnus,
simple as that.
do you agree with that? Do you have like this Lars problem where you're trying to control everything?
Kind of. There's no kind of about it.
It's 150% Magnus.
Amazing. If metal didn't exist, what music would you play? No, come on, keep it away from rock. What music would you? So I think Magnus will go techno. He's going to be doing some dance stuff.
Tribal, Afro-American, ukulele.
Blues. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I think I would actually just play like an acoustic guitar and sing folky music if Drungi would not be there.
I think you're going to be doing that anyway as your second band, Sandy. It seems like you're definitely, you're trying to plug that. Just let me know when you're ready for another interview away from these guys and we'll sort that out.
Wait.
Loki?
Ooh, probably blues as well, or some weird techno, EDM, DJ stuff.
Cool.
If I didn't know how to play the guitar, then I would go there.
Okay, the next question. What's something you think everyone should try at least once?
Mushrooms.
Many times I've had that. Not me personally, but I've had that answer.
Of course.
Sandy's straight in. Next. Anyone else?
Guitar.
Anyone else? No?
No.
Okay, no problem. Next on. So, with Iceland being such a small, remote country, where in the world would you relocate if you could do?
Oh, I have two places in mind. I want to go to either Netherlands or France.
For the mushrooms and French for the bread. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And the cheese.
And the cheese. Boys?
Probably US.
Yeah. Okay. Anywhere else?
South Africa.
Okay, cool. Okay, describe the band in 3 words.
Melodic.
Loud.
Okay, so be clear. Melodic, do we all agree with that one?
Yeah.
Heavy, do we all agree with that one?
Yes.
Yeah. And eerie.
And Drungi. Yeah.
That is it. That's Drungi.
That's the thing. Now, what one song from this new album sums the band up the best? If an alien came down from another planet and needed to know what you do, what track would you play them to say, this is what we do and this is our best?
Well, my personal favorite is Alta, but these guys, I think they have a different opinion, maybe.
Alta.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, Queka probably.
Queka.
It's our epic song.
It's one of my epic songs.
Alta and Queka.
Yeah, Alta and Queka.
I can't make up my mind between those two.
Cool. Okay. Now, finally, this is my last question. Each of you, quick answer. What's the most used emoji in your phones?
Heart emoji.
Laughing face emoji.
Devil's Horn.
Devil's Horn. Runa's checking his phone. What was it, Runa?
Devil's horns.
Devil's Horns. Like it. Loki, he's checking his phone.
I'm checking. I have no idea.
It's usually the first one.
I thought it was a zucchini.
Oh, just the heart.
Oh, it's love,
we're such lovely people.
it's love all around. It's such a nice thing. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Good luck with the album, and I really hope you get off the island and do some shows. So I'd love to see you live, and I hopefully meet you in the future.
Yep. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.